Director Ash, welcome. A couple of questions on grizzly bear, sage grouse, and the gray wolf. On the grizzly bears, the grizzly bear reached their population goals, I believe, several years ago in Wyoming, were delisted. The population goal at the time was 500 bears. Subsequently, a lawsuit forced your agency to backtrack on the delisting to complete a study on white bark pine. The result of the study showed that white bark pine is largely a non-issue. Ultimately, you could still move forward with the delisting. But my question is, what is the current target population goal for that same population today? It was 500 initially.
500 was one part of the recovery standard. So we had, we said a minimum of 500 bears to ensure that the population would be genetically connected to the larger grizzly bear population in the lower 48 and Canada. So that was one part of our recovery standard. We don't have a number that we're shooting for, but I can tell you we agree that grizzly bears are recovered, and we're working with the states of Wyoming and Idaho and Montana literally as we speak to try to put together the frame for a potential delisting proposal.
Well, that would be helpful, because people in my state feel that the bar has been raised, the goalposts have been moved in terms of the total count. So thank you on your efforts there. The sage grouse, the state of Wyoming, as you know, and it said that has worked very hard to create a plan to protect the sage grouse. Your office has been very helpful to us in that regard. You've worked collaboratively with our state. Just last week, your staff praised Wyoming's plan in a meeting with my staff. Wyoming, as you know, has worked in good faith to create a workable plan, because we know that such a listing of sage grouse would be economically bad for our state, and because we believe we know best how to protect the bird in Wyoming. With that said, isn't it true that despite all of this good work, Wyoming's plan isn't enough to avoid a listing, that my state is tied to all the other states that have to develop plans to protect the sage grouse, and if their plans don't add up, that Wyoming could still face a listing?
The Wyoming plan by itself would not be sufficient to avoid a listing, so that's why we have come together with all 11 range states and the BLM and the Forest Service and the Natural Resource Conservation Service, and so it's through that collaborative, comprehensive process that we have the potential to get to a not warranted determination. But like with Wyoming, Wyoming made difficult decisions to conserve the sage grouse. So conservation involves sacrifice. At some level, we have to make trade-offs. Wyoming has made them well. And the BLM and the Forest Service are now in the process, and I believe they are doing an extraordinary job. Idaho has been a good partner. Hopefully, we'll see other states, their plans take shape here very quickly, Oregon, Montana, Colorado. But it's that collective effort that will get us across the finish line.
And is it also true that even if all the states meet Wyoming's standard and the bird isn't listed by Fish and Wildlife, that the agency could still be sued, could lose in court, a position that Wyoming has already faced with the wolf delisting and the grizzly bear delisting?
It's possible.
We're just concerned because it seems, in spite of the agency's best efforts, sometimes the lawyers don't have the winning record that we would like in these cases when it comes to defending the delisting and the listing decision.
And I would say in that context of that question, we have a $4 million increase proposed in our budget, because if we were to get to a not warranted, then we're going to have to defend that record. And so we're going to have to be able to put together an administrative record that we can bring to court. We're going to have the people power to implement the agreements that we have forged in the context of this collaborative effort. So we need that capacity dearly.
And in terms of the gray wolf, has Wyoming met every goal that Fish and Wildlife has set to protect the gray wolf, including developing a wolf protection plan that lives up to your agency's standards?
Yes.
Okay. So do you believe it's time to once again delist the wolf?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No further questions.
Thank you, Senator.